It's not over yet. That's the chilling warning issued by a high-profile entertainment lawyer who's been closely following the ongoing legal battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. After months of courtroom tension behind the scenes, drama and mounting media pressure, many assumed the worst had already passed. But now, according to insiders and legal experts, things are far from finished, and Baldoni may be preparing for a second act that could upend everything. Justin Baldoni, once a name attached to heartfelt films and social advocacy, has unexpectedly become the center of Hollywood's most explosive legal showdown. Facing serious allegations, a barrage of public scrutiny, and what many now believe to be a highly coordinated media campaign, Baldoni didn't back down. Instead, he did what few expected: he fought back. And now his legal team is signaling that the fight isn't just continuing, it's intensifying. Meanwhile, Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden girl, is under pressure. After months of maintaining her silence while her legal team maneuvered aggressively behind closed doors, new leaks, conflicting statements, and court rulings are beginning to poke holes in her camp's narrative. The carefully constructed PR feud may be crumbling, and behind the scenes it appears panic has set in. In this video, we'll break down exactly what's happening, from newly uncovered court filings to damning internal messages and insider testimony that could blow the case wide open. This isn't just a legal drama, it's a full-blown reckoning. Because if this lawyer is right, if it really isn't over, then what comes next could shake Hollywood to its core. The Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively legal battle didn't just come out of nowhere. What began as a quiet disagreement over a creative direction in the upcoming film adaptation of It Ends With Us turned into a vicious courtroom standoff, one now laced with allegations of defamation, manipulation, and career sabotage. It all started subtly. Justin, both the director and co-producer of the film, had been working closely with the author and other creatives behind the scenes. Early buzz about the production was positive, and even Blake Lively's attachment to the project had initially seemed like a strong endorsement, but something changed fast. Suddenly, cryptic messages from industry insiders began appearing in entertainment outlets, hinting at tensions on set. Rumors circulated that Justin had overstepped his boundaries, though no concrete examples were ever offered. The story quickly morphed from hearsay into headlines, and then, almost as if on cue, official court filings were made. Blake's legal team moved first. In a carefully worded filing, they accused Baldoni of unprofessional conduct, though vague. In detail, the documents painted Justin as controlling, emotionally aggressive, and inappropriately involved in areas outside of his scope. The media picked it up and ran with it. For a time, it seemed the narrative had been set: Justin Baldoni was the problem. But then came the rebuttal. Baldoni's legal team pushed back hard, not just in statements but with documentation. They accused Blake's team of waging a behind-the-scenes PR war, one designed not to reveal the truth, but to destroy Baldoni's credibility before he could speak. Their argument that Blake's legal and PR representatives had selectively leaked and distorted information to the public, all while withholding critical context from the court. A major turning point came when the judge ordered both sides to submit full communication logs related to the production. This wasn't a request, it was a demand for transparency. In response, Baldoni's team complied, but Blake's team, they requested extensions, they filed sealed motions, they delayed. And in the world of law, delay is often the first sign that someone doesn't want the truth to be known. Meanwhile, public support for Baldoni began to grow. Fans and followers who had once remained neutral started asking questions. Why hadn't Blake said anything publicly? Why were only certain parts of texts and emails being shared, and why was Justin continuing to push forward when so many others would have walked away? By the time the first set of discovery documents were released, it became clear that the story wasn't as simple as it had once seemed. The court, the media, and the public were all starting to see through the fog, and Blake's team was running out of ways to cover it up. Once internal communications from Blake Lively's PR team and legal advisors started leaking, everything changed. These weren't just harmless messages about media timing or general damage control, they were strategic, targeted, and in some cases damning. In one email allegedly between a publicist and a legal team member, the language about Justin Baldoni was shockingly blunt: let's bury this before he gets ahead of it. Another leak included a draft of an anonymous tip sent to a media outlet suggesting misconduct that, according to court documents, never happened. Hollywood, always watching, took note. Suddenly, the industry insiders who once quietly defended Blake began falling silent. A-listers who had once praised her on social media weren't commenting. Invitations to industry events were quietly being rescinded, and Blake herself nowhere to be seen. Even the paparazzi began noticing her unusual absence from public life. For Justin Baldoni, the tide was beginning to turn. His team had something powerful now: credibility. Every leak that came out made it harder to believe the original story that had painted him as the villain. He wasn't lashing out or resorting to dramatic public statements. He was documenting, strategizing, letting the truth speak louder than the spin. One entertainment lawyer unaffiliated with either side told a news outlet this feels like a setup that didn't go according to plan. They underestimated him and now it's backfiring. The most critical leak came when a legal memo was uncovered that suggested Blake's team knew their original case was weak. It discussed media reinforcement, social pressure through influencers, and other techniques that leaned far more toward public relations warfare than legal truth-seeking. All of this, combined with the judge's repeated warnings about transparency, put Blake's team in an impossible position. They could no longer control the narrative, and now the only place left to battle it out was the courtroom, a place where facts, not influence, win. With momentum shifting, Justin Baldoni's legal team is now doing what Blake Lively's attorneys had hoped to avoid: going on the offensive. According to multiple sources close to the situation, Baldoni's lawyers are preparing to file a comprehensive motion that would expose what they claim is a long-standing pattern of strategic misinformation, professional sabotage, and calculated media leaks coordinated by a network of publicists, lawyers, and brand managers. Their plan to prove that Blake's camp not only attempted to discredit Justin but did so knowingly and with intent to cause harm. The court filings expected to arrive in the coming weeks will reportedly include a timeline of events from the earliest production meetings on It Ends With Us all the way through to the present legal showdown. More importantly, it may contain internal emails and chat logs that demonstrate deliberate targeting. Justin's team has also hinted they will request depositions from third parties, including PR consultants, talent agents, and possibly even tech companies involved in managing the leaks and press strategy. If granted, this could widen the case far beyond Blake and Justin, potentially pulling in executives and entertainment firms that would rather not be involved in a legal war under the public spotlight. Blake's inner circle is said to be rattled. One entertainment journalist noted that sources close to the actress are on edge, with some feeling blindsided by how quickly Baldoni managed to recover from what appeared to be a professional takedown. They didn't expect him to survive the first wave, the source said. Now they're worried he's going to come back swinging with receipts. Meanwhile, whispers from the production of It Ends With Us suggest that other cast and crew members may be willing to testify. While no one has gone on record yet, anonymous insiders claim that several individuals were uncomfortable with how the narrative about Justin was handled from the start. They reportedly believe the story that made headlines last year was exaggerated, unfairly skewed, and may have been used to cover for other on-set tensions. All of this is fueling the fire on Justin's side. Public support continues to grow as more people begin to question why Blake's legal team has worked so hard to seal records, block testimony, and restrict digital communications. If the truth were so clearly on their side, critics ask why so many attempts to suppress it. The answer, according to Justin's lawyers, may lie in the whistleblower testimony they claim to have secured. While the identity of this key witness remains confidential for now, court filings reference a potential insider whose statements directly contradict several of Blake's public and legal claims. If this individual comes forward and their credibility holds up, it could mark the single most significant moment in this entire case. Baldoni isn't just trying to win in court. He's trying to make a statement, a message to Hollywood that smear campaigns, no matter how polished or well-funded, will no longer go unchallenged. So where does that leave us? According to multiple attorneys familiar with the filings, the next stage in this battle is critical not only for Justin and Blake but for Hollywood as a whole. Baldoni's side is expected to push for the unsealing of certain protected documents, many of which could potentially expose unethical or manipulative practices used during this campaign. If the judge agrees, the fallout could extend well beyond this case, casting a spotlight on how stars and their teams often use power and media control to rewrite reality. Meanwhile, Blake's legal team appears to be shifting its tone. While aggressive in the beginning, their recent filings have been more cautious, focusing on procedural objections and efforts to limit discovery. In one motion, they asked the court to dismiss parts of Baldoni's counterclaim, arguing that the information he was requesting wasn't relevant, but the court didn't bite. Instead, the judge reiterated that relevant digital correspondence must be disclosed in full, a decision that struck another blow to Blake's legal wall. Beyond the courtroom, the pressure is mounting. Journalists are now openly questioning the credibility of certain narratives pushed early in the case. Legal podcasts, YouTube analysts, and even mainstream media outlets are revisiting their coverage. More and more are acknowledging that Baldoni's version of events is lining up with actual evidence, while Blake's remains largely based on unnamed sources and unsworn statements. One lawyer who has handled similar high-profile defamation cases told a media outlet we're entering the phase where either this is settled quietly, or it gets very loud very fast. If both parties dig in and no one backs down, it's going to trial. And if it goes to trial, everything comes out: emails, texts, financials, the works. And yet through it all, Baldoni has remained composed. His public statements have been limited but firm. He has repeatedly said he believes in the process and trusts the legal system to handle the matter fairly, but that hasn't stopped him from hinting that a major revelation is coming. Some speculate that Baldoni may be preparing to speak publicly, not in court documents, but through a direct interview, documentary, or recorded statement. This could shift the balance of power dramatically, especially if he's able to frame the narrative through evidence rather than emotion. Blake Lively, by contrast, remains mostly silent. Her team has not issued a substantial public update in weeks, choosing instead to let court filings speak for her. But as one publicist pointed out, if she doesn't tell her side soon, someone else will tell it for her, and it may not be flattering. What's clear now is that this legal drama, once expected to be settled behind closed doors, has become something far greater. It's no longer just about a movie. It's about integrity, power, and accountability in an industry that often thrives on illusion. And according to the lawyers involved, this is only the beginning. The latest development began with murmurs, whispers from behind courtroom doors, and carefully worded interviews from legal experts hinting that something was brewing. While many believe the judge's prior rulings had tilted the odds in Blake Lively's favor, new documents and motions filed under seal have sparked intense speculation. Several journalists covering the entertainment law beat noted that Justin Baldoni's legal team filed what's being described as an intent to compel, a potential game changer that could force Blake Lively and her team to release critical behind-the-scenes communications regarding the production of It Ends With Us. What's notable here is that Baldoni isn't just going after surface-level damage control. He's going for the root. His legal strategy now appears focused on exposing the pattern of behavior, a systemic effort to not only discredit him but allegedly silence whistleblowers who came forward with concerns about the production. Sources close to the matter claim Baldoni's team is in possession of testimony from multiple former crew members who describe a hostile environment created by public pressure and internal manipulation. And the finger in several accounts points directly at the Lively camp. One attorney not directly involved in the case but familiar with similar defamation suits said in a recent podcast, "This is about reputational assassination, plain and simple. And when you can show that someone used their public platform, their influence, or their agents to destroy another person's name, especially with the intent to bury truth, that's a case that courts are willing to hear even after a motion to dismiss." But why now? Why the sudden pivot in tone from Justin Baldoni's side, which for months had remained relatively quiet? Insiders speculate it was the recent subpoena sent to Google that shifted everything. That subpoena, now under heavy challenge from Blake's legal team, was originally viewed as a fishing expedition and overreach. But legal analysts are now saying it could have exposed metadata, back-end user activity, and even emailed drafts linked to PR operatives who were allegedly instructed to smear Baldoni subtly and consistently across digital media outlets. If true, this could place Blake Lively and her advisors in dangerous legal territory. The real bombshell may lie in the intersection of celebrity power and media. For years, Lively enjoyed almost bulletproof media coverage. Rarely criticized, often celebrated, her public persona has been carefully curated. But this case has caused cracks to form in that image. Several A-list insiders, many of whom initially supported Lively, have noticeably distanced themselves or gone silent altogether. The silence of her husband Ryan Reynolds has also been raising eyebrows. Not a single public statement, not even a denial or clarification. That has only fueled the rumors that behind closed doors the damage may be more severe than the public yet understands. Meanwhile, Baldoni has started to quietly rally support, not through interviews or dramatic statements, but through carefully coordinated leaks and strategic silence. He's let the facts do the talking. Multiple sources close to the case confirm that a sealed deposition includes direct communications between representatives from Lively's camp and certain online influencers. If those messages are released and the court allows it, it could change everything. Already the ripples are being felt in Hollywood. Legal departments across major talent agencies are now reviewing their internal protocols about whistleblower claims PR teams that once operated with virtual impunity burying stories reshaping narratives are now being warned about legal exposure, particularly in the age of subpoenaed metadata and AI-powered content analysis. Blake Lively's legal team has fought back hard. They've called the recent motions baseless, misleading, and an abuse of the system. But critics say those statements ring hollow. When no specifics are offered, the court seems interested in getting to the truth. A judge recently allowed Baldoni's team to question a third-party firm involved in the PR coordination for It Ends With Us. That firm's name hasn't been released publicly yet, but Filings suggests it was tasked with conducting sentiment tracking and influencer outreach, often the type of firm used not just to promote a film but to shape narratives during crises. At this point, it's clear that this legal battle is no longer just about defamation. It's about Hollywood's unspoken rulebook finally being challenged. The kind of rulebook that silences the inconvenient, that brushes past mistakes under red carpet glamour, that shields the powerful until someone like Justin Baldoni decides he's had enough. Another shocking twist came when two smaller creators, both YouTubers, who had made videos defending Baldoni, received anonymous emails threatening legal action if they didn't remove content. Both refused. One of them posted a video showing metadata of the email and claimed that a known associate of Lively's legal firm was behind it. While that's still under investigation, it's added fuel to the fire and galvanized a small but powerful group of digital voices now determined to keep reporting on the case regardless of the pressure. That's not the only area where things are heating up. In a recent closed-door session, a judge reportedly scolded both legal teams for public pressure tactics, a comment that led to speculation that more subpoenas might be on the horizon, perhaps targeting more than just platforms or influencers but also internal communication between legal counsel and media intermediaries. Legal observers are now questioning whether this could evolve into a broader probe involving ethics violations or abuse of PR firms acting as proxies for misinformation. And what about Taylor Swift? Her name continues to swirl around this case, though not directly involved. As someone who has been publicly close to Blake Lively, the silence from her camp has become noticeable. Swift's legal team reportedly instructed outlets not to tie her into the ongoing battle, a move that, while understandable, only intensified the speculation that there may be more beneath the surface. As all this unfolds, one thing is becoming increasingly obvious: this isn't going away quietly. Baldoni has dug in, and Lively's team, rather than settling or stepping back, is doubling down. But the tide may be shifting, and more industry insiders are beginning to whisper what they wouldn't say out loud just a few weeks ago. What if Justin's right? The public too is reacting. Reddit threads are exploding with timelines, analysis, and document tracking. TikTok videos are getting millions of views, analyzing every word said in court, every look exchanged in photos, every tweet liked or deleted. This isn't just a court case anymore, it's become a full-scale cultural moment, where fans, lawyers, creators, and industry veterans are all watching the same drama play out in real time. What's next? Sources suggest that in the coming weeks, more court records may be unsealed, and the contents could either end the case or open a completely new front in this war. There are rumors of a potential settlement offer being quietly extended by Lively's side, not as an admission of guilt, but perhaps as a way to stop the bleeding. But Baldoni is said to have declined it, demanding a full accounting and public acknowledgement of the damage done. So here we are with a case that started over a film and ballooned into one of the most gripping legal battles the entertainment world has seen in years. As of now, it's Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively, with reputations, careers, and perhaps even legal licenses on the line. And if this week's filings are any indication, it's far from over, as the dust settles for now on one of the most dramatic and volatile celebrity legal showdowns in recent Hollywood history. What's increasingly clear is this: the legal fight between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively has not reached its end. It has simply evolved into a far more dangerous, high-stakes game than anyone initially imagined. For months, casual observers and insiders alike believed this was just another brief scandal, one of those showbiz storms that flares up and disappears. But this is something else entirely. This is a reckoning. The battle between Baldoni and Lively is no longer confined to mere allegations or behind-the-scenes creative disagreements. It has become a test of power, reputation, media manipulation, and whether truth can survive in an industry built on perception. From the very beginning, there were signs that this case wasn't going to follow the usual celebrity scandal playbook. Justin didn't disappear, he didn't issue vague apologies or quietly take a career detour. Instead, he stayed, he fought back, and he kept receipts, and that is what makes this case different. At every stage, Justin Baldoni has chosen to face the attacks head-on, using the legal system rather than PR spin as his battleground. And though the journey has been grueling, it appears to be paying off. The courts have sided with him multiple times on procedural matters. The leaks, once a source of damage, have shifted public opinion. Legal experts now acknowledge that his side has something Blake's camp sorely lacks: momentum. Blake Lively's position, meanwhile, is far more precarious than it once seemed. Once the clear favorite in the court of public opinion, her silence has started to work against her. While understandable from a legal strategy standpoint, that silence has created a vacuum, one that Justin's teen court documents and whistleblowers have filled. Every delayed filing, every sealed motion, and every refused request for transparency has chipped away at her credibility. In the early days, the public gave her the benefit of the doubt. Now they want answers. What's more, the legal mechanisms of this battle are no longer operating in isolation. Journalists are paying closer attention, industry figures are whispering behind closed doors, and fans, once polarized or indifferent, are growing increasingly united around one simple question: what is Blake Lively trying to hide? Because that is the crux of it all. When someone in the public eye chooses to fight accusations through courts and PR statements, the public expects consistency. But when documents get sealed, timelines shift, and claims begin to contradict each other, trust erodes fast, especially in an era where transparency is no longer optional. It's also worth noting what's at stake here beyond reputations. For Justin Baldoni, this battle isn't just about clearing his name. It's about safeguarding the future of whistleblowers, creatives, and professionals in an industry where power dynamics are rarely challenged. If Blake's alleged media manipulation and legal pressure tactics are proven in court, it could open the door to major changes in how Hollywood handles internal disputes and public accusations. But perhaps the biggest legacy of this case is what it reveals about truth and image. Blake Lively built her career on authenticity, on being relatable, honest, and grounded. Despite the fame, that image is now under fire, not just from Justin's legal team, but from the inconsistencies within her own filings and the widening cracks in her public narrative. If she and her team did knowingly mislead the public or attempt to destroy Baldoni's reputation through back channels and press leaks, the fallout could be devastating, not just for her career, but for her brand. And make no mistake, this is about brand now as much as law. Blake isn't just a movie star. She's a luxury ambassador, a fashion icon, a clean celebrity in a world of scandals. The reason her team moved so swiftly so early may have been to protect that brand before questions could be asked, but the effect has been the opposite. Every unanswered question now acts like a spotlight, exposing more than it hides. Meanwhile, Justin's strategy has become a case study in restraint and endurance. By not engaging in a PR war, he allowed the courts and public records to do the heavy lifting. And that's why he now stands in a stronger position than anyone expected. Not only has he survived the character assassination attempt, but he's possibly turning the tables entirely. Sources suggest more filings are coming, ones that could draw on third parties, industry power players, and even social media influencers who were allegedly recruited to spread or amplify damaging narratives. If Justin's team proves that a coordinated effort existed to ruin his reputation, the court may not be the only arena in which justice is pursued. Civil suits for damages, industry blackballing, and reputational harm could follow. And if the rumored whistleblower is indeed real and willing to go on record, the tone of this case will shift again. Not from he said, she said, but to here's what actually happened. A credible insider could unravel months of Blake's defense in a matter of minutes, especially if the courts allow their testimony and corroborating evidence. Then there's the looming possibility of a public statement or interview from Justin himself. Up until now, he's let his filings do the talking. But if he speaks and supports that with emails, texts, and real documentation, he could reach an even broader audience than the courtroom allows. In today's digital age, a powerful narrative supported by facts can reshape public opinion in days, sometimes hours. For Blake, the choices ahead are difficult. She can attempt to settle and move on, but doing so may be seen as an admission of wrongdoing. She can continue to fight, but that means allowing even more sensitive information into public record. Or she can remain silent, hoping the storm passes, but that strategy has already failed once, and might only make things worse the second time around. As lawyers on both sides prepare their next moves and as media outlets circle for the next big update, one truth remains unchanged: this case has already made history. Not because of the celebrities involved, but because of the stakes it represents for justice, for reputation, and for the very idea that the powerful can be held accountable even in Hollywood. It is not over. In many ways, it has only just begun. And as we wait for the next filing, the next leak, or the next courtroom twist, we're reminded of something that now rings louder than ever: it's not over yet.